Hello. I do believe I'm streaming. I do not know though, because usually I get some extra information up here. So give me a moment. Where is my information? I'm just gonna take this, aka me, to the internet real quick. I'm gonna hit up my channel, and so that way I can monitor the chat. I know y'all love to chat. Cool, we are live. I'm gonna silence myself. That way I can just, oops. This is a living work in progress. You're watching the evolution occur in real time. Okay. We'll be okay. All right. Grand existence, citizens of the universe. JD, Nicholas Jensen Denton. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace be to you. Peace among the spiritual realms and peace on earth. I am here today to talk to you, give you a quick Gestalt, a monograph, a rapid fire data dump of information just that I think that I have found useful or interesting, or things that I want you to know about. This is about Berberine, it's got a funny name. We're going to get into the name. Berberidaceae family, genus berberis, natural product in question, Berberine. This is the plant medicine of the day. It's a series I started a little bit while back where I just want to hit you with the quintessential information about a specific plant medicine and anything that I find particularly noteworthy. If you want to see the first 4 videos, go back. I'm going to try to making a lot more of these because of obvious reasons. Because plant medicine is cool and chemistry is cool, and there's a lot of plants and information out there. And the big pharma, not me, my friends call me big pharma, but the real big pharma, the bad big pharma, they're stifling the information, they're stifling the knowledge. The revolutionary folks among us want you to know the truth and the information that's going to empower you and make you a better version of yourself. So I work in a nutrition lab, and I come across all these compounds every day that I didn't really know too much about, and then I have to go and do all this research about them before I can figure out how to analyze them in the lab. And I'm in there and I'm like, oh my god, this is such a great precursor, me accumulating all this information so I can do my job. I should just take this info and translate it into a presentation so I can put it together on the internet, and anybody else in the world that sees this could hopefully maybe benefit from it, or at least be entertained by JD radio, TV, whatever you want to call it. We're here, we're doing it big. So thank you for joining me. This is JD's Pharmacopoeia. This is it. So we got berberine today, berberis species of plants. I slapped together a little slideshow on all the most important information, which I'm about to open up for you to see. I just want to give a little introduction first, but I'm going to truly going to try to keep this short. I'm going to breeze through it. I'm not going to spend too much time on anything. So Hopefully you can hear me all right. I know my last video, the sound was a little down, but maybe I can fix that right now. Advanced audio properties. Nah. Mic/aux. If anybody out there knows how to use OBS, let me know. Properties. Nope, that's not it. All right, well, hopefully you can hear me. Last time I was told I could be heard loud and clear, so I'm running with it. So here we go. I'm going to try to monitor the chat. Every now and then I'll flip back and forth in there. But I'm going to put myself down here, and we're going to get right into it. Okay? So what they're calling this drug, molecule, analyte, compound, chemical in the scientific literature is a, quote, wonder molecule. And that's the molecule right there. Sorry, let me silence my phone. And it is known as berberine. It is a benzoisoquinoline alkaloid, which means it is a true alkaloid made from an amino acid, and it contains a nitrogen in a ring, which you can see there. Super cool compound, super weird chemistry. We're going to get into it in a little bit, but basically this is a very prolific compound. It occurs all across the berberis species and across at least 9 different families of plants. So it's not taxonomically restricted to Berbidaceae. It exists ubiquitously in nature, and it has been used as a plant medicine from its various plant sources for a very, very long time. You see Berberis exlologensis pictured there on the right. So berberine. It's over 3,000 years old. It's the oldest compound that you've never heard of and the most prolific. It's everywhere, all across every continent, but originally it was used, the oldest, well, actually, you know, it's named after the Barbary coast you see here on the north coast of Africa, now known as Morocco and Tunisia and Algeria and Libya. But the oldest written recorded evidence is on a clay tablet from the Assyrian emperor Assur-banipal during 650 BC, written down on little clay tablets. They recorded it as a blood purifying agent, which is, I think, just checking the chat, super curious. As my friend at work said, like, what do they have to purify their blood from? What are they doing? Why are they so toxic? Surely the toxicity back in the day in the organic world before the Industrial Revolution and the proliferation of lead and heavy metals and nanoplastics throughout the environment prevented them from living too toxic of a lifestyle. And you'd think an emperor be pretty healthy, but I don't know. They had to purify their blood back then, and they were using berberine containing plants, specifically the fruit of Berberis vulgaris, which I think is a Latin word that just means like generic or something. I don't know. I got to check on my botanical source to tell me the truth on that. But basically, we've got an incredibly old plant medicine that's been used for over 3,000 years, and it is the plant. I say plant medicine, it's plants medicine or plant medicine, because the modern estimates are suggesting there's around 500 species within the upwards of 700 and as low as 100, depending on what source you're talking to. There's a lot of contradiction out there in the scientific literature, not just in identifying the name of the plant or the number of the species of plants of Berberis genus, but also of the chemical properties of berberine. All right, nobody's in the chat. That's good. So that's where it comes from. I don't know exactly how, but surely there was a lot of trade going on between Barbary and the Arabic world and Asia. And so I'm assuming that medicinal plants were imported to Assyria through the Mediterranean over here from the coast of Barbary, and that is where the name originates. Okay, so they were using the stem bark, the roots, the root bark of the leaves, which we've all found in modern times to be rich in berberine. Let's see what else is in this little abstract. There's a wide range of infection, or a wide range of treatments for various different ailments and sicknesses, diseases. It seems like a damn near cure-all. It seems sort of like white willow in its application, but more effective, as we'll see as we'll get into the antibacterial, antiviral ailments, afflictions than, say, white willow. So it does a lot of things. It's really good for your gut health. It's really good for your cardiovascular system. It's really good for your vascular system. So it's good for your heart. It's good for your veins, your blood channels, whatever they're calling those. And it's been used to heal jaundice. It's been used, is that the right word? Jaundice? It's either a T or a D, I don't know. It's been used to heal afflictions of the eye. It's super good for the gut. It's good for indigestion. It treats constipation, diarrhea. It assists with hemorrhoids. There's a list down here. It's a treatment of uterine, vaginal disorders, healing of wounds. You can apply it directly to the skin. It's an astringent, so it tones the skin, and it is good. So it's good internally and externally. It has also been used to reduce obesity and as an antidote for scorpion sting and snake bite. But I don't believe that has been conventionally studied within the scientific literature. That is just what they were using traditionally. Now there's a lot going on here between the tradition and between the modern scientific applications in berberine, and so often we need to differentiate between what's going on, because the traditional people may have used it to treat everything, and modernly we're not using it to treat everything. We're focusing more on one or two different treatments that it is useful for from a clinical scientific standpoint. That doesn't negate the fact that people buy this supplement from the stores all over and just use it as a general health supplement, or a midment, I should say. It's incredibly useful against certain microorganisms and viruses, bacterias, helminths, which are like worms in your gut. They've used it to anti-helminthic, antifungal. It's got a variety of actions with a long usage. So that's what we're saying here. There is many clinical and experimental studies suggesting that berberine has several pharmacological properties, such as immunomodulatory, antioxidative, cardioprotective, hepatoprotective, renoprotective, which is your renals, your hepatos, your liver, your cardios, your heart, antioxidative. We're going to do a slide on the antioxidative nature of it, because that is incredibly important in the culture we're living in right now, because we basically live in an oxidative, inflamed culture. It's inflamed. For a second, I felt like Donald Trump right there. I don't know why. But as we'll see, although it has been used for dietary supplements and used traditionally as medicine for 3,000 years, and it has a vast potential to evolve, it is like a ripe candidate for drug development. There exist no pharmaceutically produced medications aimed at treating a specific disease. So don't take any of this advice as thinking you're going to treat any kind of specific disease. Definitely nothing I say is ever about treatment. Okay, I don't treat anything. I just know stuff about plants. I got a disclaimer at the very end, but like, definitely talk to a trained herbalist, naturopathic doctor, or regular doctor if you are looking to use berberine, the wonder molecule, to treat any disease. But here's all the information in relation to from the plant tradition into what it is capable of. Not treating. We gotta be careful with our words because FDA will fuck you up. I mean, I think I can say that it treats things. I just can't actively be trying to treat people with it. So I mean, the science says it. We'll see some abstracts here where it's like it treats this, it treats this, it treats this, and I just want you to know that there's no pharmaceutical application quite yet. So it's hard to actually say that it is a drug, because a drug is a compound that has a direct bioactive effect, and it is defined by the FDA, and it's clinically studied under certain pretenses, and we don't have that. Like this is saying right here, there is no pure berberine formulation available on the market for any particular disease. So take that into consideration when you're thinking about not just berberine, but any type of plant medicine that you can have in the world. Let's see. So the berberine is a quaternary ammonium salt, which is so weird. We're told you we're going to get into weird chemistry. Naturally occurring benzyl isoquinoline alkaloid, present in numerous medicinal herbs and stem barks as an active constituent, especially in the genus Berberis. Pharmacological properties include antioxidative, antiviral, anti-diabetic, which is mostly what it's used for today, antidepressant, anti-diarrheal, definitely need that, antibacterial, definitely need that, and many more. It seems like the more you look, the more stuff just arises out of the internet ether, and it's like, when are they going to stop coming up with things that this compound does, this plant species do? And here's something that I think kind of tangential, but it's what I want to say. So, for example, in the case of white willow, which we've talked about a lot before, the key ingredient in white willow is salicylic acid. Well, it's actually salicin, and then the salicin in the bark has a different activity than the salicin in the extract. In the aspirin. So you've got the extract of the bark and you've got the pharmaceutical grade aspirin, and they have different activities. They have different pharmacological profiles because the nature of the compound is different, but also because in the extract you have an entourage of phytochemicals which can have a entourage effect, which some people call a matrix effect, on the whatever physiology is interacting with it, versus the aspirin has a very specific effect. And so what we see is that a plant, just because berberine is in every single plant, doesn't mean every single one of those plants is going to act on you the same, because there's going to be a profile, an entourage of other compounds that are associated in different ratios between all these different plants. So you could have a slightly different medicinal effect. One plant might be specifically good for diabetes, where another plant might be specifically good as an antiviral, and another plant might be specifically good as an antidepressant and not be good as any of those other aspects of the medicine. And so it really comes down to knowing what you're taking and having good understanding of it from every perspective possible, because no one thing is the same as any other one thing. So there's some stuff in here. I love how these scientific articles say things like, since nature is the best healer. Like, can you say that as a materialist scientist? I really appreciate it, but I'm surprised to see it. They're saying nature's the best healer. Like, fuck big pharma. Yeah, I agree. And pharmaceuticals are not the best healer. Like, nature's the best healer. God's the best healer. Shout out to that one famous alchemist, herbalist, Nicholas something. We share the Culpepper, who said the same thing. These guys were probably inspired by him. So this review provides an overview to the reader by incorporating recent studies. So this was from a paper titled "A Bird's Eye View on a Therapeutically Wonder Molecule, Berberine," and I'm just pulling all the key information from it. So yeah, it's been used as a blood detoxifier, as I mentioned, as an astringent, as I mentioned. It treats inflammatory disorders, non-targeted inflammatory disorders. Inflammation is a symptom of multiple diseases, and it can help treat that. It can help treat wounds, physical lacerations on your body. It can reduce your fevers. It has affections. I think that should say afflictions. Afflictions of the eye. It's been used to treat tumors, which is wild, but that's an inflammatory. That it's not inflammatory as its sole cause, but there is inflammation related there. Perhaps not totally causal. So what I'm trying to say is that honestly, I should look more into the mechanism of it. It's been used to treat tumors before. It's been used to treat cancers, but it's not something that is being widely accepted by the establishment as it stands. Now, I don't say that because I only accept things that are widely accepted by the establishment, but I do say that because things that are widely accepted by the establishment in the right context are typically accepted for very, very good reason. And if they're not accepted, it's usually because of any sort of doubt or drawback on the safety of something. So the institution is really good at eliminating things that are not safe, but they're also not good at it on the same hand. So it's a very, very multifaceted beast we're dealing with when we're talking about the development of medicine in the modern world, because some things can really fuck up a lot of people, even though they make it through the FDA and they make it through all the clinical trials, because obviously those can be bullshitted and they can be paid for and bought and sold out, and they could be faking, let's say it, faking the data and faking the information so they can sell more drugs. But not always. If that were the case, like always, we'd be living in hell. We'd be living a terrible existence. The fact that we have like some modicum of high quality of life here in the first world is evidence of the fact that some of these institutions, some of these regulations, some of these studies are actually doing wonderful, wonderful things for people in the world in the medicinal industry. And that's not to be overlooked, is all I'm saying. So clinical and experimental studies suggest that berberine has several pharmacological actions. I already read this actually. Immunomodulatory, antioxidant, cardioprotective, renoprotective, and hepatoprotective effects. Definitely, if you need any, take that how you will. It can be a generally life quality enhancing supplement to add into your regimen that might help you out in some of these areas, especially in the case of diabetes, infectious diseases, high blood sugar, helping with weight loss and improving your heart health. So next one, depression could help. This is the bird's eye. It's basically saying that it's very good for your heart, it's very good for your vasculature, it's very good for your digestive tract, your intestinal tract, it's very good for your atherosclerosis, your veins, your brain health. It has neuroprotective effects. It can induce apoptosis, and it can induce what was the other one? Apoptosis, and that's programmed cell death, which is really good for cancer, and autophagy, which is really good for overall general health. It's also very good for diabetes. I believe this is like a spleen over here, or a liver. It's something. It's really good for your arteries. It's really good for your heart health. And goddamn, if there's something we need on this world, is some heart health. What's the number one cause of death in America? So this is some word vomit. Traditional uses continued. So I think I mentioned all these already, but like asthma, eye sores, jaundice, there it is with a D, skin pigmentation, toothache, anything with inflammation and swelling, infections of the ear, eye, and mouth. See, that's what the ear, the mouth, I don't know about the eye, but definitely the ears and the mouth have a microbiome in it. And this berberine, as we'll see a little bit later, is an incredibly effective antibacterial against microbes which are not regularly treatable with the class 1 antimicrobial medications, such as is it dioxins, tetracyclines, and other of the very common and often very effective drugs, so antimicrobial agents. So that's very, very important because, well, like I said, I'm trying to go through this quickly, but if you know the importance of the gut microbiota, and it's not even just in the gut, there's microbes in the lungs, there's microbes in the mouth, there's microbes all over your skin and your body. That's why it's good, because it eliminates these harmful microbes while promoting the richness and diversity and function of the native endogenous beneficial microbes. So we're going to get into that in a little bit. Antimicrobial, antiprotozoal, protozoal. So protozoans are very interesting animals, kind of tangential topic here, but like not quite plants, not quite animals, somewhere in the middle, just like nudibranchs. Treats diarrheas, intestinal parasites. Welcome to America, standard American diet. Why do you think you're craving all that sugar? Huh? Why do you think titanium dioxide and the red blue and the River 9 or whatever, like all these artificial dyes, all these artificial ingredients go into your body, especially the sugar? Candida gonna love that. We got all sorts of parasites, I'm telling you. You think it's just the bears walking through the forest that's got them? Unfortunately for us, we live in a parasitic world, and I mean that in a very multidimensional way, unfortunately. So that's why it's good to fast. It's good to induce autophagy. It's good to give your digestive system a break, because then you can kill off a lot of those parasites, pass them. And as you know, the parasites control your brain. It is the OG brain control. What do they call that? Brainwashing. It's like they're affecting your choices. They're affecting what you're attracted to. They're affecting what you want to eat. They're affecting everything about your life from like a total, I don't want to say occult, but a hidden dimension. They're inside you, and they're sending electrical impulses to your brain. They're probably fucking with me right now too. I'm not gonna lie. Nobody is safe, except probably like the opulent minority who have the billions of dollars to create a perfect fucking body. But we're not them. We're the working class. At least I am. I'm sure most of you are watching this. And so we got to fight for what is right. which is basic health. And the more I know, the more you know, the more the society knows, the more we can disseminate this information to the entire world, which is what we're trying to do. We're trying to say, hey, these things are good and these things are bad, and don't do these things because this is why they're bad, and do these things because this is why they're good. So, carrying on, reducing fever, common cold, respiratory infections, influenza. So this might be an essential plant medicine. Sometimes I think about what if I should make like a list of essential plant medicines for your medicine cabinet. And definitely the more I've been learning about berberine, the more I want to just collect a bunch of it and isolate it and keep it around and take little hits of it every now and then, because it's absolutely been aiding humanity for so long. It deserves a place in your medicine cabinet. It can lower the tone of the skin. It's very good for your skin. It's an astringent. If you need any astringents, white willow is also an astringent. I already mentioned that. Witch hazel, also an astringent. If you want to make a skin toning ointment or something, here's a recipe for you. White willow, berberine, any berberis plant. Maybe, do some studying and figure out which one's best for the skin. Mix it in with some whatever the other one I just said, and the hydrosol of, I just said it and now I forgot it. Not the white willow, not the berberine. The witch hazel. Witch hazel hydrosol, incredibly good skin toner, great for your face, great for your hair. So is white willow. Put all these things together. Super, it's like whatever the equivalent of a superfood is, but a super skin thing. All right, nobody's watching yet. That's good. Just gonna make sure. Well, put all these things. No. All right. Moving forward, plant medicine of the day, berberine. In South America, leaves and bark of the species of genus berberis are used in traditional medicine administered for mountain sickness, infections, and fever. So we see it's been used across the entire globe to do the same kind of treatments, which is proof to me. It's evidence that it works. And if you are familiar with TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, perhaps you can tell me what it means to damp heat syndromes, purge fire, and clear heat in the liver, because these berberine-containing plants have been used forever to do that in TCM as well, probably over 1,000 years. So we're going to talk a little bit about the antioxidation inflammatory effect. I'm going to read this here just because it is such a good overview of what anti-inflammation is and how it works. And a little bit about berberine in there, but it's like really the antioxidant effect. This was found in an article about berberine, so all the sources are at the end when you want to read them. Under normal conditions, the body maintains a balance between the antioxidant and the pro-oxidant agents, otherwise known as reactive oxygen species and reactive nitrogen species. These are not good. These aren't things that you want in your body. Your body, organic life is you want stability in your compounds. You want stability in your atoms of your body. You don't want to be reactive. You don't want to be a reactionary being. And these reactive oxygen species will do that. Oxygen is the number one most powerful oxidant on the periodic table. Elemental oxidant on the periodic table. Not molecular, elemental. The body is a negatively charged vessel. It is not positive. It's negative. Grounding is negative. Everything about life carries what is good chemically is a negative charge. Electrons have a negative charge, and so you want to drink electron-enriched water. You want to eat foods that are rich in electrons. You want to eat plant medicines that are rich in electrons. Sometimes these ROSs and RNSs are good because they have the capacity to kill different types of things, but it's not what your body runs on. So this is just a general blueprint of how you should understand oxidation, inflammation, and your body, because really you can bifurcate it all down onto a spectrum of positive, negative, neutral. And the blood runs at about 7.4 pH optimally, and the higher the pH, the more alkaline you are, the more basic, the more electron rich you are. The lower the pH, the opposite of that. And you don't want to have a low pH. You don't want to be acidic. You don't want to be reactive. You don't want to be oxidative. So the imbalance between pro-oxidants and antioxidants, see what we're saying now? The imbalance between rich electrons and poor electron containing molecules occurs in case of increased oxidative stress. So when you get stressed, and this is literally just regular stress, you have an oxidative response, and that causes you to enter into a physiological state which is not ultimately beneficial for your life. It can lead to other illnesses and things. It's very, count your lucky stars that we're healthy right now. Thank God every day for our body and how wonderful it is in maintaining our health and wellness, because life is just this fine line, this balancing beam, and just a little thing that just comes out of nowhere can totally flip you over from one side to the other. And so you got to be careful. You got to walk this balance. And now we're talking about balance. It's all about balance, really. This culminates in the balance between the right and the left brain, but I'm not going to be able to go that far in this short video. It's already been too long, I think. I was trying to keep this way short. Jesus Christ, are we at 37 minutes already? All right. An experimental study demonstrated the effect of berberine on lipid peroxidation, inducing chemical carcinogenesis in small animals. Okay, so that's not important. I mean, it is, but I'm really trying to distill this down. Other mechanisms involved in the antioxidant role of berberine: ROS, RNS scavenging, binding of metals leading to the transformation and oxidation of certain substances, free oxygen removal, reducing the destructiveness of superoxide ions and nitric oxide, or increasing the antioxidant effect of some endogenous substances. It has been said that berberine is equivalent to that of vitamin C, a highly potent antioxidant. Shout out Dr. Linus Pauling, chemist extraordinaire, physicist, or not physicist, I don't know why I said that. Chemist extraordinaire, and God, what was he? He was not a pediatrician, but he was a doctor of some sort, and he was able to treat people. He popularized vitamin C. His book is on my essential reading list, How to Live Longer and Feel Better. Go read that, because he'll give you the inside scoop on how to live longer and feel better. Here we're trying to give you extra scoops. So I guess we can kind of think of it as equivalent to vitamin C in its therapeutic potential. The increase in blood sugar leads to oxidative stress, not by generating oxygen reactive species, but by impairing the antioxidant mechanisms. So you gotta watch your blood sugar levels. The oxidative stress plays an important role in the pathogenesis of many diseases. So that's what I've been saying. These oxidative molecules that are really just anything that's positively charged, they play a significant role in many diseases. I'm not going to bore you with lists, but like name a disease that is impacted. Name a disease, and I'll be hard pressed to tell you that it is not impacted by inflammatory conditions resulting from oxidative stress. The beneficial impact of berberine is presumed to reside mostly in its antioxidant role. So that's the main takeaway, is that this is going to provide the extra means of your body's ability to self-regulate its stress conditions. So next slide, effectiveness / bioavailability of berberine. So here's the interesting thing. Well, it's about to get interesting. It is interesting. It's not very bioavailable. It's about 1% bioavailability, less than 1%. So if you eat freaking a gram of pure berberine, you're going to pass 990 milligrams, and less than 10 milligrams are going to be bioactive and absorbed by your bloodstream. And so that's important to know. If you're out there buying supplements, if you're buying food based on like all this information, they make supplements that are like very high concentrated. Like they do creatine. It's like you get 6 grams of creatine in one thing, but only so much of it's actually going to go into your going to go be bioactive. And like for any kind of drug, having a high dosage of it is not the mark of a good drug. If you want a good drug, low dosage, minimal side effects, onset of effects, like those are all characteristics of a good drug. So it's curious how it's been used for so long for so many things when the science suggested its bioavailability is less than 1%. I didn't look into the studies too much, but I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't the greatest studies, because like I said, in the case of the white willow, you need, so look at the white willow example. You need 10 times more aspirin to achieve the same effect of white willow. I'm saying that may be the case here. I don't know. I haven't run the science. I haven't done the chemistry, but that may be the case. That seems to be the case in many different cases, that the collection of molecules naturally present with the innate bioactive principle of different plants all have an overarching effect on the body, or on the bioactivity, which enhances its effectiveness. And so that's just something to consider when thinking about using berberine as a plant medicine to supplement your life. The exact mechanism of low bioavailability of berberine is not completely understood yet. However, there are some studies which have proposed some possible reasons accounting for its low bioavailability. There's another part. So absorption. So how do we well, hold on, let me make sure there's nothing else in here that I want to say. Hydrophilic, it doesn't like water. That's the thing. In its native state, when berberine's native state, which is as berberine, which I'll show you the structures later, but it is the one you saw here. That structure right there is not soluble in water, and typically good drugs are soluble in water because your body's like 50%, 50 is like way low balling it, like 80%, 90% water. Your brain is 70% water. Your body is 80%. So if you have a good drug, it needs to be water soluble. And you see this log p value. The closer it is to, I believe, 1, the more water soluble it is, the higher it is lipophilicity. So it's more soluble in a organic solvent. We're going to get into that. Lipophobicity. Due to berberine's lipophobicity crossing the plasma membrane of the intestinal cells is hindered. So it has basically a very low bioavailability. That's what I'm trying to say here. If you look over here to the right, the absorption, however, absorption bioavailability effectiveness is significantly increased when co-administered with P-glycoprotein inhibitors such as silymarin, which I've always thought was a silly name, from milk thistle. In addition, they found sodium caprate, a medium chain fatty acid, and an ester of capric acid also enhances berberine absorption by widening the gaps, blah, 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 between the cells, allowing for diffusion. What does that mean? It means that, again, when you combine the bioactive constituent berberine with other compounds, its bioactivity can become enhanced. And so what are some natural sources of P-glycoprotein inhibitors? We're talking turmeric, black pepper, ginger, grapefruit, green tea, St. John's wort, alliums, garlic, and the medium chain fatty acids, which you find in coconut oil, dairy products, palm kernel oil. Don't recommend that one, really. Very bad for the environment. And colostrum. They said breast milk, but I'm going to say colostrum. They are adjuncts, is what they call them, things that enhance the bioavailability. So if you are looking to get the most out of your berberine supplement, consider mixing it with some of these. Do a little bit more research as well. There may be others, maybe the one's not good enough for you and you don't like grapefruit. I don't know. All I'm saying is, like, here's a signpost, follow the road. Now we're going to keep going. So here's some really cool stuff that is more about making a better medicine out of berberine through natural methods. And so what they found is that berberine can self-assemble into a nanoparticle, which has an enhanced bioactivity and stronger antimicrobial effects. They tested it in MRSA, where basically you take cinnamaic acid, which is a crucial precursor in many different plant compounds. It is so great. Cinnamaic acid, if you're into making drugs, buy a bunch of cinnamaic acid, because that's going to open up a lot of pathways. But anyways, if you combine something that contains cinnamaic acid, which you see up there, it has that little negative charge on the oxygen because there's so much electrons around it. And then down here, the berberine has the positive charge right next to the nitrogen. Well, self-assembly, it's all color-coded. It's so wonderful. I love it when they do this. These things combine together. I don't know why there's a picture of a butterfly here. I would like to figure out, but I don't know what that means. I'm sure it means something. But they spontaneously self-assemble into a new nanoparticle, which they're calling cinnamaic acid berberine nanoparticle. And then that nanoparticle then has more effectiveness than things like amoxicillin, tetracycline. If you don't know tetracycline, go watch my other video about Dr. Mark Nelson, who invented tetracycline, effective. And you got to understand, these drugs are effective against things like the plague and malaria and crazy shit that has taken out millions of people in the past. MRSA, which none of those are effective against either. These two naturally occurring compounds, which are, self-assemble, very complementary to each other, then turn out to be more effective than some of these other class 1 antimicrobial agents. So that's super interesting, and we're going to look more. We're going to look more about that. So cinnamaic acid, obviously from the name you can tell it comes from cinnamon, and you can get some extracts. Now this happens in water because it is the hydrogen bonds which promote the rearranging of these molecules into nanoparticle form, self-assembling. There's a bunch of pi stacking hydrogen bonds, like chemistry, geometry stuff that happens, and I'll show you on the next screen here. is this is what the molecules look like. So you get it's a 1-to-1 ratio here, 2 molecules of berb and 2 molecules of cinnamic acid formed together to create this nanoparticle, which is super, super cool. Like, self-assembly in nature is borderline miracles. I mean, I guess the whole world is self-assembling, but it's something that we haven't really figured out as a culture yet and how to take advantage of it. And so when we discover it, we find out, damn, we are actually really novice at understanding like how life is put together and what, you know, the grand blueprint of the great architects, you know, schemes really are. Like, how does this stuff, how does nature plan this out? Is it random? Is it entropically based? You know, what drives these reactions? Hydrogen bonding, it's entropy, but like, come on, who made the puzzle pieces fit so perfectly? Here is just like, I went back so you can just see it's just a diagram. You don't really even need to see that. This, you know that you are creating nanoparticles because it can be confirmed by the Tyndall dispersion effect, which is, I wish my website's not up right now, but maybe I'll just Google it real quick and we can show you. We can see the Tyndall effect in action. I hope my search history didn't show anything weird just now. So the Tyndall effect is a light scattering effect. Oh, so that's what was happening in my crystal the other day. They're not really showing it in the way. So the Tyndall effect is just what happens when light is scattered through a solution which has nanoparticles in it. And it happens because the light is bouncing off of more stuff, off of more molecules in the solution. So it shows that you've got a colloid. If you look here, shows that you have a suspension of stuff inside rather than a pure substance or a less complex substance. So basically what you do is you shine, here's a good one, you shine a laser through your solution and the light reflects all around. This is the nanoparticle solution. This is the non-nanoparticle containing solution. So hypothetically, if this were a solution of cinnamon and a berberine containing plant extract, filtered obviously because you're not going to be able to see with all the extra plant material in there. So hypothetically it's pure cinnamic acid and berberine. You're going to find this reaction to the light in an extract, in a solution which has successfully created these nanoparticles. That's how you can tell for yourself. So if you're making this at home and you're like, I want to create a good berberine extract, this is how you're going to figure it out, okay, guys? And then you can go tell your friends, oh, look at my hydrogen bonding, self-assembling molecules. Anyways, so how would you do that if you wanted to extract it? Well, berberine, a quaternary proto-berberine alkaloid, one of the most widely distributed alkaloids in its class. The extraction protocols behind the most widely used methods in the world today are based on the manipulation of the berberine alkaloid from its proto-berberine salt into its basic form. And so depending on the environmental conditions of your solvent, water, body, whatever, wherever the molecule, the air of where the molecule is being held, then different forms, two principal different forms will be manifest. In nature, it is berberine. Here on the top, this is the naturally occurring chemical berberine form with this quaternary ammonium ion. That means a nitrogen which has 4 bonds, and there's an insinuated hydrogen, which is also attached to the nitrogen, leaving a positive charge because nitrogen needs 5 bonds in order to stay neutral. But I think it's been a while since I thought about it, but there's a positive charge here, and down here, it's not your typical, like, this compound is not your typical acid-base conjugate pair. This you still have both the positive ammonium ion in both of these forms. However, in the what they're calling the salt form, the berbinium ion, that's when you have a counter ion attached to the nitrogen, which alters the chemical and pharmacological properties of the drug. And so they usually call this an acid-base extraction, where you manipulate the properties of a drug to make its separation from a matrix easier. And so you can do this with berberine by altering the pH of solutions to push the compound around through different solvents. So the top compound is sparingly soluble in water. It's not that soluble. It is more soluble in organic solvents and slightly polar, not really polar like water, but moderately polar solvents like ethanol and methanol, and different ratios of aqueous-based solvents with organics. So like a 50% ethanol, 50% methanol to aqueous. More soluble in organics, and that makes it challenging for an extraction because most people really are only going to have water available, although it is very soluble in ethanol, which makes it useful. But the thing is that because of that, what time are we at? Dude, I cannot believe how quick this goes by. There's not that many slides left. The one on the bottom is going to be far more soluble in water, and thus it will be more bioavailable, but it is not naturally found, so that's something you got to do. How do you do that? Instead of extracting it in water, extract it in an acidic ethanol, an acidic organic like ethanol, or acidic water would work a lot. It would work decently too, but you have to heat it up because temperature it increases your yield, but you have to be very careful with it. As you see over here, temperature also can degrade and affect the yield negatively. Light and temperature affect the stability and the structure of berberine. So this salt form down here, it doesn't have to be chlorine. So this chlorine would come from like a hydrochloric muriatic acid solution. Doesn't need to be that. It could be sulfuric acid, but goddamn, you're probably not going to have that either. Acetate, though, would be a lot better. If you had a strong acetate solution, go to the store, get some distilled vinegar, or I know at the hardware store they sell stuff that's like 75% acetate or 60% acetate. That would be ideal. Instead of chlorine down here, it would be an acetate, and you would generate a salt form of the berberine, which then is more soluble in water, more bioavailable, more bioactive, and thus more therapeutic and increasing the quality of your life even more than the natural occurring form. And just because it's not natural, doesn't really say much. I call it a xenobiotic because that means it's not naturally occurring, but it's produced using natural organic methods, such as combining vinegar with a plant. That's a very natural thing to do, but it doesn't regularly occur in nature, so that's why I'm calling it unnatural. But just understand, just because it's unnatural, not a bad thing. I know a lot of people are like raging against the the unnatural world. All right, no chat still. Perfect. I'm gonna stay focused. So let's see, stable and acidic Neutral media, the base is organically solvent soluble. So the top one, soluble in organic solvents, meaning an organic solvent is something that contains carbon. So like water, H2O, no carbon, not organic. You got to kind of familiarize yourself with these chemical nomenclature because they're not that intuitive usually. The highest yield was obtained after 3 hours by extracting with 1,2-propane diol modified supercritical carbon dioxide. Goddamn. So if you have a supercritical extraction apparatus and some access to propane diol and carbon dioxide, then you're in luck. Pressurized hot water extraction would be great if you have a pressure cooker. A Soxhlet extraction would be great if you put that under pressure, although I wouldn't do that, honestly. I'll put it under negative pressure, quite frankly, because heat would degrade the compound. So there's lots of caveats. Maceration, Soxhlet, cold or hot continuous extraction, many different extractions have been used. But the extraction method you use will have an effect on the amount of berberine you pull. And frankly, a water extraction, a tea, ain't really gonna cut it, y'all. That's what this is saying. Maybe if you eat the berries raw, because then they're gonna drop into your stomach, and that is an acid pit down there. And then you might create a salt form. I'm not positive what's exactly in the stomach. If anybody else out there knows, leave it in the chat. What would happen if chemically you dropped a berberine compound into your stomach acids? Would it? Well, I mean, we already know. Well, I want to know what would happen chemically, but we already know that it would be not very bioavailable. It won't pass through the intestinal wall, unfortunately. Another novel technique, berberine was extracted using ultra high pressure. So it's kind of a lot of technical stuff going on. We're just going to talk about the classical extraction techniques, that is maceration, cold solvent extraction, Soxhlet, and reflux. I would say what I would do is I'd put it in a Soxhlet apparatus, I'd put it under vacuum, and I would extract with 100 proof ethanol. And that is what is going to give us a significantly higher yield than water or anything else. Here you can see ethanol at 313 degrees Kelvin, which is like 103 degrees Fahrenheit or something. It gives you a very good yield compared to a lot of this other stuff. Here we've got the solubility. This is a berberine chloride. I mislabeled this. That's okay. That's why I'm here to clear things up for you. Mole fraction solubility of berberine chloride in pure solvents. So if you want to get a berberine enriched extract, here's what you're going to want to do. You are going to want to extract it in distilled vinegar, or that high proof acetate vinegar from Home Depot or whatever, in a Soxhlet under vacuum. Or if you don't have that, put it in a jar and wrap tin foil around it and shake the crap out of it every single day, 500 times every single day for a month straight, and you're going to get a pretty good yield out of there. It's not going to be perfect, but then what you could do once you extract it out in high concentrations is then basify the solution using like sodium hydroxide or any other simple base which are presently readily available. Sodium bicarbonate would not work. You need the hydroxyl. It's all about the OH. But you can see that ethanol still, they didn't test acetate here, but I guarantee you it would be a good extraction solvent. But perhaps even ethyl acetate would work very well. But ethanol is okay. So you're going to extract it in vinegar, high proof vinegar. and then you're going to basify the vinegar. So you're going to liberate the acid salts, the berbinium ion. You're going to remove the extra ion through the basification. That converts it back into this form, but that might salt out, that might crash out, precipitate out into solution. And then so what you're going to do is mix your solution with an organic solvent, such as something that is organic and insoluble with water. So the compound will then favor the organic solvent, and that will separate it from the entourage of other compounds that are present in your solution. And then from there, I would re-acidify. Perhaps from that point, I would dry off all the solvent by slowly evaporating it in a windowsill or something. And then I would reconstitute it, meaning using another solvent like water or vinegar. Take the vinegar solvent again and then redissolve that in there, and that's going to react with the acetate, and it's going to form this again. So what you're doing is you're selecting this compound out of a mix of compounds and then converting using the protonatability of the nitrogen to remove it from the matrix, isolate it, and convert it back into the more bioavailable form, which is the acid form. So you dry it down once it's in here, and then you reconstitute it with vinegar, and then you dry that down, and then you're going to be left over with a purified, enriched fraction of a berbinium salt, which is going to have a high efficacy in therapeutic value. So moving forward, these are berberine chloride, berberine salt solubilities. So this is useful information, but I did not mean to do that. I meant to do the berbinium. But anyways, this is not medical advice. I'm not a trained medical person. Don't fucking sue me. I just know a bunch of stuff about plants. If you enjoy this work and want to support it, hit me up to commission me, and I will make your plant medicine apothecary. I'll make your whole cabinet. I'll give you all the essential medicines. We'll have a consultation, and I'll tell you everything I know about plant medicine. I'll tell you everything that you want to know, and if I don't know it, I'll go figure it out and report back to you and give you all the highest quality information I can, because I got the power to pirate scientific literature and get the truth. I'm a truth seeker, and we're going to get to the bottom of all this. And or if you're healthy as shit and you don't need anything, feel free to donate. JD's Pharmacopoeia on Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. Feel free to send me Bitcoin. Follow me on social media, JD's Pharmacopoeia. You can always reach out to me through social. My website's down right now, but we're going to get it back up very soon. Here's all my sources. Take a screenshot of that and click on those individually to learn everything that I just told you personally, because I know that my presentation style is a little crazy, but that's the Gestalt. That is the monograph is what I call it. It's just like everything you need to know all at once. So hopefully that was like coherent enough for you to understand, and you are able to take something from that. Leave me some feedback and some comments or whatever. Let me know how I did, and if there's another plant medicine that you would like to see featured on the plant medicine of the day, let me know in the comments in the live chat. Hopefully this video uploads. I know it's like kind of weird how it doesn't upload to my video section, only to my live section, and then I'm not sure if you can totally access it, but just let me know somehow. You can reach me. If you try to find the way to reach me, you can definitely get your word out to me, and we can communicate. So that's all I got for you today. God bless you all. Peace to you, peace on earth, peace among the spiritual realms. Have a grand existence.